All right, we're going to talk about Hufanga with our guy, Stats. He's on the show. I wish Hufanga was on the show, but that's okay. Stats, we'll talk about him. We'll talk about all the things that are going on with the Niners as they try to create their road back to the Super Bowl and finally win it under Shanahan. We have Texans GM Nick Caserio. You've seen the bites on the internet. You've seen, we've been popping stuff out. Him invested into this lineup in this roster, of course, but there's stuff that you missed, stuff that we have not released yet. So we're going to show you that in full. Loved talking to him. Loved talking to these GMs. Cannot wait to get to training camps to talk to some more of them in July. And yes, we do have Stats. Rob Guerrera from the Gold Standard Network. Let's not ask. Welcome to the Up and Adam Show. I don't know where I got Hamilton. I don't know. Are you proud of me? I don't know. I'm doing a closet reorg. It's not going very well. But I have so many jerseys, like so many. So blessed to have been gifted these. I don't even remember why I got this one.
That's amazing.
Do you remember?
I don't remember that either.
It says, Kay, thanks for the support. Stay blessed. Let's effing go. Let's effing go. Is he going to be out there week one? That's a question that's on your mind. I'm seeing the rumor mill just spitting stuff out.
Yeah, there is some stuff. I mean, coming off that knee injury, we've heard a lot of positive talk about him, but there are these rumors that maybe he won't be quite ready. Maybe they bring in somebody else. Who knows? Maybe Stats has some insight into that.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to him. I'm excited to poke him around a little bit, knock him around. He's always always willing to get agitated, which we love. I found a Hufanga jersey. I couldn't find a T-shirt, so I wore a jacket and just buttoned it up as if it's a shirt. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's
yeah.
fine.
Closet reorg, it's fine.
It's great. All right, we've got 10 teams that have reorged their rosters that are at mandatory minicamps today. How about that segue? But Cowboys, Niners, especially interesting to watch as it is all eyes on Brandon Ayuk and CeeDee Lamb. They want more money. They want new contracts, well-deserved. We'll see that. We did have a little pop of some CD action this morning. Ian Rappaport, friend from the Derby. How many shots of tequila did we take together, buddy? Ian Rappaport tweeting that Lamb is not reporting to Cowboys camp today. Not. Okay. Well, this is another level. Let's DEFCON this thing up. Dial it up. If he misses all 3 days, he gets fined, as I alluded to yesterday, $100K. $100K is not nothing. Cowboys, they're in a position where they're probably going to have to choose two of the three between CD, Dak, and Micah Parsons going forward. I do not envy how tough of a call that is going to be for Jerry Jones, and he's probably been stewing over it on his yacht somewhere. We will dig into the Ayuk situation a little later in the show with Rob Stats Guerrera, who we know and love. You guys are hanging out in the live chat. I see you guys on YouTube. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A lot of emojis. Okay, fire emojis, 100 emojis. Doing the whole thing. If you guys have questions for Stats, let me know. Very excited for you guys to see this Caserio interview. But yeah, he'll be here. If you guys haven't checked out the Gold Standard podcast, please do so. There are teams that are in the midst of OTAs and have a lot going on too. So let's go around the world here with some of these, and let's go to Atlanta. Hamilton texted me yesterday and he goes, I think I want to talk about Atlanta to start the show tomorrow. And I said, let's do it. And I said, why? And he said, well, because we're seeing what it might look like out there for the first time, healthy for the first time. Raheem Morris confirming Kirk is full go off the Achilles. You love to hear it. Bijan took the practice field for the first time after he had an ankle hiccup earlier this offseason. So if that wasn't exciting enough, he spoke to reporters yesterday about his role and how it might look a little different on offense.
So I'm going to be more of a runner. That does everything else. Like, not as much. I don't know what the plan is, but like it's like run there first. Like I did in college, and then still having that access to go to receivers, still having the access to do creative things out the backfield. More so like how they use Christian down there in San Francisco, like something like that. So that's kind of what like the plan is here.
Falcons fans, are you freaking out? That's amazing. He's one player I don't think it's crazy to compare to CMC. I'm excited to see what this looks like. Bijan finished last year second in targets among running backs, 19th, though, in rushing attempts. So being versatile is incredible. It doesn't mean you always have to use it. So seeing him in the backfield, that's a great thing for this offense. I also want to address the thing no one is really talking about with this team because of Kirk and Bijan and all the weapons, and that is the defense, okay? The offense has a lot of talent. And usually, for the past sort of Grady Jarrett aside, it's been the low-hanging fruit of bottom 5 defense, can't stop anything, whatever. The defense is exciting right now. AJ, Jesse Bates, of course, former Bengal, love him. Grady Jarrett still doing his thing at the clip that he is. And speaking of Jarrett, Raheem Morris said something about him that made me sort of stop in my tracks. Take a look at this.
That passion and what he's able to do just with the look in his eye is really special. And with his young guys and being able to train those guys and talk to those guys last night and to be to address a room and just to be here, his presence is huge. You know, it's really Aaron Donald-like, and I don't want to be disrespectful to Aaron. We talked about this a lot when we were together and how much respect we have for Grady and how much respect he had for Grady. But like that presence is really special when you have that in that room.
Forget Grady sacked Brady. Grady on Brady 3 times in that Super Bowl. This is a great player, a star on that team, like sort of this consistent thing that they had throughout a lot of the tumults and a lot of the winning and losing and the shuffling the past couple of years. That's what Grady Jarrett is. For him to compare him to a guy he knows really well, the greatest to ever play the position. We don't talk about, is he like the most unheralded guy in the NFL potentially? He's coming off a season-ending injury, so we're not talking about him, and I think that's fair. We seem to forget players at every level, at every position when they're coming off an injury. But this is the first extended absence of his entire career. And I think that it really showed his impact more than anything else not being on the field. Through week 8 with Grady Jarrett in the lineup, this retooled Falcons defense was the 6th best total D in the entire league, not far behind the Browns and Ravens. But after Grady went down, they went from 6th to 22nd in total defense. That is impossible to ignore. And if he can stay on the field with Bates this year, this defense, I think, can repeat what they did in the first half of last year. They might have a legit shot to be in the mix atop the NFC, not the NFC, the NFC this season. What do you guys think? At Up and Adam Show, let me know. I feel like, I got Hamilton. It's us too. I don't think we've said the name Grady Jarrett on the Up and Adam Show.
It's true. It's been a while, and yeah, we have to take some responsibility for that too. But you're right. He's been such a phenomenal player.
What do you think it is? What do you think it is? Because then the defense has been underwhelming. It's been bottom 5 a bunch of different categories over the past handful of years. I remember during pandemic trying my best to get Grady Jarrett to do one of those Instagram lives with me. Because I was like, let me think of players who don't get as much shine as they need to. And he's where one of the first players my head went to. Was what a stud, I want to talk to him, I want to get in there, I want to get to know him a little bit better. And it never quite worked out, but he was super kind about it. We just couldn't make a time about it. But he's always swirled as this unheralded player. Do you have any opinion on why?
I think a lot of it has to do with just the state of the Falcons over these last couple of years. They haven't been super relevant. They've been going through a lot of transitions, and I think that has a lot to do with it. Because the way he started his career, as you mentioned, second year in the league, has those 3 sacks on Brady in the Super Bowl. I think obviously too, if they win that Super Bowl, I think we'll remember, that's on the forefront of people's minds a little bit more. But yeah, the roster is going through a transition. He's been kind of that one stabilizing force in there on this roster in that locker room throughout. And hopefully now this roster is finally up to speed and we could start seeing him in some more meaningful games.
I think what it looked like without him on the field is people always show their value when they're not around. Like if Cat's not here, if Cat's not here, I don't even show up. I don't even know where to go. So I'm looking at her right now. People show their value when they're not around and things sort of fall apart. And that's clearly what happened. 6th to 22nd is insane. Absolute insanity. Yeah. All right, Hammer Scram. We'll have stats on in a minute. I do want to talk about other teams that are in the midst of mandatory minicamp, and that's the Bills. So, we saw this. Stephon Diggs. Hi, Stephon. Okay. Cool. Smile. OG. First time in his Texans jersey for the first time. Wow. What does this feel like, Buffalo? Are we happy? Are we sad? Have we made peace with this? None about the Texans and that H-Town's pretty cool. I like that. New number. He's wearing the number 1. I love that. That H-Town's cool. I like that. Back to Buffalo. I think people think this offense is going to go through major struggles potentially. I'm not quite sold on that. what Stephon did for Allen and the offense over the last 4 years, I was the first one to say, like, not the first one, but like understated. You cannot, like, I came after these Bills fans clowning on Stephon Diggs, what he didn't do, whatever. Josh's breakout and Josh's success is directly tied to Stephon Diggs. However, last year, it all stopped working, but we saw Joe Brady start to take things in a different direction with this team. So it was the spark that it needed. He's very important. He's going to keep this going, and I believe that. So if you think about what this offense is going to look like this year, Brady had this to say.
Hey, this is Josh Allen's offense, right? Like you're gonna put together the offense around the guys that you got. So for us to just say, hey, we're just going to scrap everything and everything was broken, that wasn't the case, right? And so there'll be some elements of things that I believe in, but it's more of like, tell me who we have on our football team and the guys and what they can do well, and we're gonna do that.
Okay, so the last part of that really stands out, talking about playing to the strengths of his personnel. So I talked earlier in this offseason how Brady's commitment to the run, turning the Bills into the heaviest run offense in the entire league. That was the change in identity. That was the dramatic turnaround that brought Buffalo to a heater. They went on 6 straight wins in a division title. I do think we're going to see that continue, I assume. One of the biggest parts of the whole thing was how much he said, yeah, I'm going to lean on running this guy's legs. Look at this. Joe Brady ran Josh Allen more than twice as much as Dorsey did, for more than double the yardage, including 4 more touchdowns in 4 fewer games. That's huge. That's all you need to know. Clip it, put it out there. James Cook, big part of that, for sure. But Josh's legs were really pivotal. They're the catalyst of the turnaround. Look at him go. Look at him go. Oh, gosh, I can't wait for football. I just can't wait for football. Go. As effective as this was, as you can see here, Steelers fans, as fun as it is to watch and take in, is this a sustainable formula for a full season for a $250 million quarterback? Oh, probably not. I don't know. I don't know. Trevor Lawrence down there in Jackson. I don't know if he should use Josh Allen. He's going to get more involved on the ground, of course, but there's got to be other wrinkles here. I'm excited to see what Joe Brady comes up with now that he has a full offseason to cook and prepare and be in the lab. So I think when we, give him his due for what he was able to do in this turnaround, we have to say, like, you're a good offensive mind and you can make the most out of the situation in Buffalo, like he did at the end of last year. Okay, we're going to take a short break here. We've got Nick Caserio, GM of the Texans, fashion icon, maybe should have been GM of the year, certainly looks that way. And we'll be back with the full interview stuff that you might have missed from our social feeds. So don't miss that. And we also have stats on the show as well. Hammy. What's the social plan for those top 3?
As far as I saw, they were tweeted out this morning.
Oh, it was the last top 3 was yesterday's,
yeah.
And then it goes on like YouTube at some. Because those are more for YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Right. So when is it on YouTube? I'm just curious. What's the? Is it on YouTube? Could someone check?
Let me take a look.
There you go. Right. Oh yeah, here's stats. I think we should call it top 3 and what is it? Top 3 and me. You, me, and top 3.
And top 3.
I think that's what we could use that. I think that works.
Yeah.
I think we could build that out.
Yeah,
as the
definitely
animation or something. I forgot what I was going to say to you. You're coming out here next week.
Yeah.
Let's go. How exciting.
Very excited.
It's supposed to get like really hot out here. Is that happening? What's happening this week?
Is that happening?
Next week? Oh, it's going to be like 80s?
It's been like that here lately. It's been really hot here.
I walked in, I texted Kat and said, I've lost everything. I don't know where my debit card is. I don't know where my ID is. I don't know where my passport is. I don't know where anything is.
That closet reorg will get you every time.
I'm not kidding. And then, yeah. And she's like, okay, well. Just like, poor cat.
She's going to figure it out.
Poor cat. Poor cat. Poor cat. Poor cat. Poor cat. Okay, all over my TikTok with FanDuel. Excuse me? Are you doing anything for you? Oh, how's practice with the boys?
It was good. You know, spring ball started, so
who's the
making some
quarterback?
progress. We got right now it's Taj off to a great start. We got a 7-on-7 tournament on Thursday, which I'm really excited about. So we'll get a better idea of kind of where we stack up against some of the other teams then, get some competition in.
Oh my gosh. Yesterday was the first day, y'all, that I called Hamilton, as I do every day about 9 times. And I called him and I heard like whistles and dudes in the background. And I go, oh shoot, we're back. That's awesome.
We're back.
Okay. Welcome back to Up and Adams. Thanks for watching on FanDuel TV, on YouTube. Of course, you can catch the re-air on Max, streaming on Max at 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific time every day. Ton of excitement down in Houston after some massive pickups on both sides of the ball this offseason. I got to speak with the maestro behind those moves. You might have seen some of it on our social feeds, but you didn't see this. Here it is, Texans GM Nick Caserio, C.J. Stroud, Stephon Diggs, everything in between, and how he could achieve what no NFL entity has done before. Nick Caserio, lots to be excited about. You win the South, you draft both Rookies of the Year. Fans are mostly excited about the vests that are available in the team store. Are you aware of this?
I actually just noticed that here today, so hopefully the fans get the one that they like. So first off, thanks for having us. Appreciate it. Congrats to you and all your success. So good to be here.
I appreciate you. We're not stopping to talk about vests just because you're being polite and have manners. You know that there are people out here who put and embroidered your face onto a vest, and we're selling.
I have not seen that, Kay. That's a first. So it's probably worth about 1 penny. So it's probably worth less. So
I mean, what's it like to be a fashion icon?
I'm not sure if I'm really a fashion icon when it comes to anything. So it really, the choice of dress is just a comfort factor more than anything. So I guess it's my spring kind of New England-y-ish vibe. So when it's 95 degrees and sunny and humid down here, those won't come out for a while. So, but if the fans want to wear them, then great.
You're a fashion icon. You're not comfortable with it, which is my favorite. You do know how to build a damn roster, don't you? Unbelievable. Big news this week. Let's start there. Nico Collins gets signed to a nice extension. He's earning a lot, more per year than DK and Debo. I like how it's structured. What gave you the confidence to dish out that payday?
Yeah, I mean, Nico has been a good player for us here for a number of years. I would say when you kind of look at the arc of his career, where he started, going back to when we drafted him in 21, he didn't play football in 20. So because of COVID and everything else associated with it, and then was a participant in the Senior Bowl and had some traits and attributes that we liked. So we were kind of drafting probably a little bit potential at that point. But he was productive with his opportunities in Michigan. And then he produces a little bit as a rookie, kind of ran into some bumps in the road. I think the big thing last season was just his confidence and belief in himself, his ability to kind of stay on the field. The offensive staff did a great job with him, was able to develop a rapport and relationship with CJ. Coach Slowick and the offensive staff, I'd say specifically Ben McDaniels, who's been coaching him here for multiple years now. So they've all worked and invested in the relationship, invested in the player. And Nico's a great kid, salt of the earth, everything that we want our program and players to be about. So to be able to reward him with an extension that he's earned, nobody's granted anything just because. So he's earned the opportunity, and he's a young player who we feel his best football is ahead of him. So to be able to keep him here for hopefully multiple years, and it's something that we felt was important, and to be able to reward players for their work and their effort, who are emblematic of the things that we want players to represent. I think it's always it's always good to be able to do those types of things.
And his numbers are great, and he's really performing. He missed 2 games, still had over 1,300 total yards, 8 touchdowns. Can't wait to see what he does this year playing alongside the big addition, Stephon Diggs.
We were on the field here this morning We've been on the field here the last couple of days. Steph has been here this week. So Steph's had a great attitude, works really hard. He's very competitive. He finishes plays. What you see him do during the regular season, what you've seen him do for Buffalo and Minnesota, you're seeing some of those qualities and traits on a practice field. So there's a reason why he's been as productive and as successful as he's been. So philosophically, what D'Amico and I have just tried to do is just build as competitive and as deep a roster as possible. And we understand that there's going to be challenges that we face during the course of the season. This league is so competitive. I mean, I think we played in 10 one-score games last year. We were 7-3, so we were fortunate to come out on the positive end of the spectrum. But our job is to try to build as good a team as we possibly can, give ourselves an opportunity to compete against a lot of good teams, a lot of good coaches. And we feel Steph will be a good addition to the room. I think that room is going to be really, really competitive. We're probably going to have to either move on for some players who are going to be playing other places, but we'll try to keep as many good players as we can here. But Steph's been here. He's had a good attitude. He's had a good approach. So we're glad he's here.
I mean, Tank Dell is no joke. They're going to push for the best wide receiver trio in the NFL this season. And you must have a soft spot in your heart for receivers, don't you? Because let's go back to New England a little bit. Let's go back to like the mid-2000s. You are shooting up the ranks in New England. Then for 1 year, which you have to explain to me, 2007, you leave the front office and you become the wide receivers coach for Randy Moss, Wes Welker, and that 16-0 team. How did that happen?
I would say very fortunate to be in the situation I was in. Sometimes, luck and opportunity, combine and collide. And, I just tried to work hard and do whatever was asked of me. So we had some transition that was taking place just from a staff standpoint. So there was an opportunity that presented itself. Really kind of work with the offensive staff going all the way back to 2001. Even as my role and title had changed, it was still kind of immersed in what we were doing offensively. So we felt that was a transition that, would be advantageous and helpful. And when coach presented the opportunity, it was something that I wanted to coach. When I got into football, I thought I was going to coach. Honestly, I didn't even know what a front office entailed. When I started in New England, kind of on a personnel side, it was something I wasn't even familiar with. So, but just try to show up, work hard, have a good attitude, and help the players. And that off season, it's funny because from 06, we played in the AFC Championship game, won a game out there in San Diego. Caldwell makes a play on the sidelines. We had Rashay and Jabbar. And then we lost the AFC Championship game there to Indianapolis. And then off season, we kind of, revamped some things. So, traded for Wes. That kind of happened early on in kind of free agency or right around free agency. Scott and Bill made that acquisition. Wes was a guy who was a pain in the ass to cover in Miami. So, when you see a guy twice a year. So traded for Wes. Signed Dante Stallworth in free agency, added Kelly Washington. Troy was still there. And then the trade for Randy took place right around the draft. So, we felt we were going to have a pretty competitive receiver room. They all kind of complemented each other. So then when we got Randy, and I've talked about this here with some folks locally, literally we were in the staff room just kind of on a whiteboard drawing up routes that we thought were conducive to Randy's skill set. So I think Randy and Wes kind of complemented one another. Dante had a good role. And then we re-signed, or Jabbar Gaffney was still a part of it, and Jabbar had a really good role because he was so versatile. So we kind of reshaped some things offensively that year, and we became a little bit more of an 11 personnel team. Went to training camp. Randy was literally out there for one day, and then
Nick, you're saying it like you're using words like revamped. You got Wes Welker and Randy Moss. You're in charge you get one shot at it for 1 year, the 1 year on your resume, and you're in charge of one of the greatest wide receiver rooms of all time.
Well, they did more to help me than I probably did to help them. So my job was just to kind of make sure they were prepared, make sure they had an understanding of what we're trying to accomplish on each play, and honestly just kind of stay out of the way, but hold them accountable. I think as a coach, you just want to teach and you want to provide them information that they can utilize to be productive on the field. So I kind of took that angle and approach, and they probably all took different bits and pieces of it with them. And, we went out there and, we were fortunate to have some success offensively that year. Kind of came up short a little bit at the end, but I learned a lot. Learned a lot about myself. Learned a lot about just coaching different types of people and players. So, it was kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and certainly grateful and thankful for that chance. And then after that season, again, we kind of had a little bit of movement, front office, coaching-wise, so then kind of transitioned back to the other side there a little bit. But I always was involved a little bit with the staff because of the relationship that, we had cultivated through the years. So They're always grateful for my time in New England. Learned a lot on a lot of different levels, coaching, front office, and just some of the things that were important on the team building standpoint, and some that we've tried to implement here in Houston. But there's never a one size fits all model. You just try to take each situation, and each year is its own entity. So kind of when we transitioned from 06 to 07, that was a whole new team, new year. I would say when you look at our team here this season, kind of transitioning from 23 to 24, we're going to be a different team. There's some carryover relative to the players that are coming back, but each year, I mean, the spring is really an opportunity to establish your level of performance and kind of put a foundation in place. And that's what we're really working to do here this spring with everybody that's here.
CJ had such an incredible year. It's hard to, what more can we expect from him? So when you say it'll be different in terms of him, such a special quarterback, I mean, you were around the greatest quarterback for so much of your career. I mean, that the Bledsoe had happened 2 games into your first year in New England in 2001. What is it about CJ? Maybe it's unfair to compare him to a young Tom Brady, but what reminds you of that, whether it's poise or pocket presence or what we can expect?
Yeah, I would say a lot of the really good quarterbacks just in this league, I don't speak in general terms, they're very competitive. They work, they care a lot about winning, and that drives them and motivates them to continually improve and get better, because what you did in one season, again, doesn't necessarily translate to the next season. I would say in our situation, I'm sure teams will study some of the things that we did. So we're going to kind of have to come up with some tweaks and modifications to counterbalance some of those types of things. But I would say CJ is very prideful. He cares a lot about winning. He's very competitive. Even when we go out in the field in the spring, we have a 3rd down compete period. Like, he wants to win. And when you have that mindset, that kind of trickles down to the rest of the team. He believes in himself. He has a lot of self-belief. So I think those are some of the qualities. Forget about the physical attributes and skills. Like, obviously that is a part of it. But the way you're wired, the way you think, and your just constant willingness to improve and get better, those are what makes you go from good to great. And then you want to see if you can maintain that longevity over the course of your career, understanding you're going to deal with some ups and downs. So how you handle the adversity, how you kind of handle the tough situations, that is going to really tell you a lot about that individual and that player. So we're going to probably see some things this year that we didn't see last year. We're certainly, we're going to face significant competition on a week-to-week basis, but that's this league. So you have to be prepared for that and just kind of take it one week at a time. But, CJ is a great person. He's a great kid, cares a lot about winning, has great relationships with really everybody on the team, whether it's players, staff, operationally, PR, and he's himself. And I think what we try to stress to everybody, just be who you are. Like, don't try to be somebody that you're not, because I think players are smart enough, they see through that. So we're excited about this upcoming season, and excited about CJ's growth, and just continue to press forward.
I love that you let them be who they are. I can't imagine, as someone who has Gronk on our show every week, he still falls into these Patriot way sort of things. And you have a rookie quarterback there who has his own podcast, who is fully himself, and is allowed to be. I think it's so beautiful that that's a part of what's going on and what makes it work so well down there. When I watch CJ, oh my God, he's never rattled, Nick. Like, he's always, nothing gets to this kid.
Well, I mean, playing with poise and playing with confidence is important, because football is chaos. So in 2.5, 3 seconds, there's so many things that happen, and the quarterback specifically touches the ball on every play. So I would say you have to be consistent with your demeanor. You have to be able to move from one play to the next. I mean, the great ones are able to do that and mitigate sort of the bad plays. And I'd say, just relative to the personalities and who they are, I'd say honestly it starts with D'Amico and who he is and the message that he permeates to the team. So everything kind of starts at the top and trickles down. But I think the one thing I've learned, and been fortunate to be in this league for going on 24 years now, you have to move and evolve with the times. And it doesn't mean you can't still have your core principles and standards that you believe in, but we're just in a different age. We're just a different stage societally. Different things are more important to some folks. It doesn't mean that they can't pursue those things. It just means you got to make sure you keep the main thing, to quote CJ, which is something that he believes in. But ultimately, football, your performance on the football field is going to create other opportunities for you, so you can't lose focus. But we're going to support the players as best we can, hold them to a high standard, make sure they're accountable, and then just try to do the right thing along the way.
The D'Amico Ryans hire was incredible. I mean, at the time, I feel like he was not the most sought after defensive guy. Everybody's talking offensive coaches. You inherit this rough situation in Houston. You did 3 offseason. You've turned it to the most exciting team in the league. I love it. How did you know? As I know that you were involved in the hiring process to some degree, I read. How did you know? When did you know that D'Amico was the fit?
Yeah, I mean, I said going back, when I first got here, I mean, look, I've made plenty of mistakes and, things that haven't always gone the way that we would have hoped. But I mean, you try to learn as best you can on a year-to-year basis. And, you got to make difficult decisions along the way and just try to do ultimately what's best for the organization as a whole. I mean, that's part of my job, part of my responsibility. But, I've talked about this publicly. D'Amico and I really didn't know each other. We knew of each other. But I mean, when you first talk to him, and I don't know if you have or haven't, but he's just such a great human being. He's a great person. He's very genuine. He's very real. He's very sincere, and he is who he is. And, just his energy, his juice on a consistent basis. And when you look at his players perform in San Francisco, I would say he had a huge hand in developing Fred and developing Dre. Aziz was a part of it. I mean, we have Aziz here now, but obviously D'Amico was involved in coaching him, and I'd sort of say developing him. But when you look at how his defenses played, how they played out there in San Francisco, they played with energy, they played fast, they played with ferocity. And I think we just needed a little bit of a jolt, and I think we were just looking for the right person. I'd say this business, football in the end is a people business. So we could talk about scheme, we could talk about X and O's, we can spend as much time on that as we want. But you just need somebody that can kind of galvanize an entire group of people. And I think his lens, and you're seeing this throughout the league a little bit, the former player lens, I mean, I think there's something to be said for that. It doesn't mean they all have to fit that, because there's a lot of great coaches that didn't play. Mm-hmm. But when you can kind of put yourself in the player's shoes when you're talking to the team, understanding they're looking at the coach and understanding he sat in that chair and is going through some of the same things, then it makes it a little bit easier for a player to sort of acquiesce and do the things that we ask of them. So can't say enough great things about him. I mean, I'm biased. I've said this. I mean, he's one of the best coaches in the league. We're very fortunate to have him. I'm grateful for the opportunity to work with him on a day-to-day basis, side by side.
You two work really well together. I have 2 quick ones for you, and then I'll let you go, even though I could talk to you all day. JJ Watt, we've heard it. Him and D'Amico. Any legs to this? Is he coming out of retirement? What's going on?
We'll see. I think JJ's got enough going on right now. But
once
the season starts, then I think that's when the competitive juices get going. So D'Amico has an open door policy for JJ, so we'll see how it goes.
You're not. I'm giving you the opportunity to close the door on this nonsense, and you're leaving it open.
You want me to no comment it?
No, I want you to be honest. Like that could happen. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far ahead here. I think we're just focused on the spring and just try to get through the rest of the spring here and get to summer vacation, honestly.
Okay, last one. Yeah, and I hope you enjoy it. You so deserve it. Everybody down there does. What a turnaround. It's amazing. Last one for you. I was thinking about this morning. I don't think it gets talked enough that you've won 6 Super Bowls. You have this major role, even though you'll downplay it because you're humble, on building these rosters in New England. You're 1 behind Brady. You're 2 short of Belichick as far as scoreboard with rings. He's got 8, right? You have a shot, my friend, to be the most decorated person in NFL history. How much thought do you give to that?
Not much, honestly. I'm fortunate to be affiliated with a very successful organization for a number of years that provided me great opportunity. I have my Super Bowl rings, but honestly, I don't even know where they are because I just kind of put them away. That's not my personality. So, I just enjoy work. I enjoy the process. I enjoy being a part of a team. So I think if you have good people with good process, and then the results are going to be the results. So, we just want to try to build something that's sustainable for a long period of time here. What the end result is, ultimately, it's up to the players. So if we just get the right people, the right players in the building, give them the opportunity to go out there and execute. When it's all said and done, football is going to go away. So, hopefully I'll be judged by how good of a husband and a father I was to my wife and my girls. So, honestly, I haven't given it 1 iota of a thought, Kay, to be honest. So It's just other things I think that are more pressing. And, more important in my life. But I enjoy football. I enjoy being part of a team and just working with people. So, I mean, and I just kind of take it one day at a time and just try to improve and try to continually get better and remain curious and just look for ways to help the organization, get to a goal that I think everybody in the league wants to achieve.
I will keep score for you. You keep working on this. I bet you would consider, this is when you tell me that you have a Super Bowl caliber roster. We drop the mic.
Hopefully we have a good team that can go out there and compete about any against anybody in the league, which we're going to need everybody at some point. So. And
you have vests that are flying off of the shelves. All things are great down with the Texans. Enjoy, hopefully, the rest of OTAs and get some rest, and let's go get it this year.
Thanks, Kay. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. You bet.
I just feel like if they were to win the Super Bowl in the next 3 years, would anybody be surprised after watching that? Would anybody even, what he's put together? My producer was just saying, one of the most complete teams in the National Football League. Incredible turnaround. Quarterback not afraid to say what he feels. I just Googled C.J. Stroud and looked at he's throwing darts at Aaron Rodgers, leaving Joe Burrow off his favorite best quarterbacks in the league list. This is a game-changing program player. They've got between D'Amico Ryans and everything, how far could they go is the question. That's, of course, the YouTube chat that's going on during this interview. Love talking to him. Thanks to the Texans for giving us some access to him. And we'll take a short break here. Up next, we have Mr. Rob Stats Guerrera from the Gold Standard Network. Do you want me to sing your theme song? The Gold Standard Network. Stats. Stats, 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 stats. Next. All right. What is that noise? What is that? A what? A drive? What does that mean, a drive? Huh? What does that mean? There's a computer server in the closet, guys, that is making noise. What does it do? Why is it acting up now after 2 years? Computer drive. Okay. Hamilton, what if I pick the Texans to make it to the AFC Championship game? I think that's where it's going for me.
Yeah. Who are they playing?
Big time NFL fan said he's worried about their run game. What do you think of that?
I mean, we'll see what Mixon still has. Remember, they brought him in there too, so that's going to be interesting. Yeah, they got a lot going on.
Is C.J. Stroud so good that he can walk the walk and talk the talk? Do you know how few players can do that?
Yes.
Remember when I told you he's a star, and then I
Yeah.
sort of put you. You should do a deeper dive into his bites. They are.
Okay.
He just had a couple. I mean, he just.
Yeah, I just saw this week all of a sudden the Stafford thing and.
What did I tell
yeah.
you? I told you last week.
Yeah.
I go. I just feel like he's a. Not that we didn't know this, but like he's.
Yeah.
And that's why we were preparing everyone. Hamilton produced the interview with Caserio, but we were talking through it and what we want to ask and like trying to work a way through a C.J. Stroud question. And I said to Hamilton, I said something about his like interpersonal sort of star quality. Like his, he's just he could be a media star. And coming from like New England, that's got to be interesting for Caserio to have on his plate.
Yeah, and especially coming from the quarterback position, right? Like it's one thing for Michael Parsons when your quarterback is, starting to say some things and kind of putting a target on his back. That gets interesting.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. Okay, let's do some television. That's
Caserio, get the 8 rings. Like it's great that you're nice to your wife and kids. Go get your 8 rings.
Such a weak answer. I was like rolling my eyes, like. It was such a good question. That was Hamilton's question. That was brilliant. Back on the Up and Adam show, Mr. McCaffrey attending Niners mandatory minicamp. It starts today. NFL's reigning Offensive Player of the Year did not participate in the voluntary part of the offseason program. He's busy. He's got, body armor ads to shoot. I think he's getting married here in the next couple days, months, weeks. Who knows? He's busy, but he's there. He's there. We hadn't heard from him since, we haven't really heard from him since the loss to the Super Bowl. I don't think we have heard from Stats either. So we talk Niners again with our friend from the Gold Standard Network, ESPN Radio, and 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. Just racking up great guest after great guest and dishing out great analysis. Stats, how's it going?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm great.
What's new? What's going on in your world? How's Gold Standard? Tell me everything.
Well, I feel a lot better now that Christian McCaffrey is reported. I'll say that. That's one little controversy that we can hopefully put to bed. Now, if we could get this Brandon Ayuk contract done, I could sleep at night.
Tell me everything I need to know about Brandon Ayuk, you, the fan base, the front office, and how long you expect this to drag out.
Oh, it's going to drag out, I feel like. If you look at the 49ers' past 4 or 5 big contracts, they always drag it out. None of them were signed before the middle of July. This is how the 49ers operate. It's infuriating. It's frustrating for the players involved. George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa, everybody got frustrated with how the 49ers do business, but this is generally what they do. It takes a long time. It's frustrating, but I think we're going to have to wait a little bit longer, even though we keep seeing all these wide receivers continue to get paid.
So we're talking about wide receivers getting paid like Justin Jefferson, right? Which I thought was going to catalyze. Yesterday I was like, this is going to be great for like the Brandon Ayuk world and the CeeDee Lamb world. I guess, how does this affect him? If you're in Ayuk's camp, do you think it's smarter to show up and prove you're a team player, or do you hold out? Like, we're talking about $100K on the line if he misses the next 2 days too, right?
Yes, but I don't think it affects it too much because Justin Jefferson's contract is so far and above anything that we've seen from another wide receiver. I mean, he's now the highest paid non-quarterback of all time, breaking the record held by Nick Bosa for about a year. He got 70% more guaranteed money in his contract than the next closest player in Tyreek Hill. He is the absolute tip-top of the market. If Brandon Ayuk tried to argue that he deserves that kind of money, the 49ers would laugh him out of the negotiating room because he's clearly not Justin Jefferson. But look, we have seen 8 wide receivers this offseason sign deals with at least $23 million a year. 8 of them. And that, oh, by the way, that $23 million is what Deebo makes right now. And I don't know if that's part of the hang-up that they don't want to pay Ayuk more than Deebo. It seems like they should be able to get this deal done because we've seen all these wide receiver contracts, right? We don't have to, search for the ballpark of the deal. We know what the ballpark should be. It should be around $30 million a year. The guaranteed money should be between, $40 and $55 million. It should not be this difficult to hammer this thing out if, in fact, you want to get it done. But I think the 49ers say, you're on the 5th-year option. We have you under contract. We don't have to do anything. If you want to hold out, great. That's your choice. Good luck with that. But the 49ers, I don't think, are feeling as much pressure to get it done as we, the fans, maybe feel.
Gosh, there's no incentive for the Niners, huh?
Other than to keep him happy, that's pretty much it.
They can play this out.
And they have $25 million in cap room now that the money from the Eric Armstead release officially hits the books. So the 49ers, I think, can say, we're fine slow playing this because what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, the bar has not been raised in their viewpoint, from their lens, after the Jefferson payday. That is for sure. Niners fans want it done because y'all are like a wild fan base. The controversies, the rumors, the speculation. You're just the perfect fit for them because you love turning it out and spinning it and all of that and this amazing stuff. What is as mandatory minicamp is here, Christian McCaffrey there, so no controversy. What is the thing that you're most closely keeping your eye on outside of Ayuk?
Yeah, that's the thing. Other than Ayuk, there's no controversy for the 49ers. For the first time in years, their quarterback is not coming off an injury. There is no question who the starting quarterback is. The entire offense basically is coming back from last year. The biggest storyline is how does Ricky Pearsall look at wide receiver, and can Dominic Pooney take a starting spot on the offensive line? Other than that, it's kind of smooth sailing for the 49ers for the first time in a little while.
Yeah, but you need this guy.
Ooh, nice.
Not a controversy, but Hamilton was telling me that he's got his ear really close to those, the Grant Cohns of the world and everybody, and you, of course. And there's rumors about, there's just worry about whether he's going to be available for week 1. What's going on? What is the concern with Hufanga?
Well, the concern is he's coming off an ACL injury last year against, I believe, the Buccaneers is when he injured it. And he was not, a speedy safety to begin with. And so the fact that speed was already an issue, he's coming off an ACL injury, I think that's a little bit scary for the 49ers. He's in the last year of his contract right now. So there's a lot of unknowns with Hufanga. I absolutely love him. I fully admit I am biased when it comes to him because you remember all of his splash plays just because of his style on the field, the way he seemingly can jump the snap anytime he wants to get in the backfield. He makes a lot of interceptions, certainly more interceptions from the safety spot than the Niners have seen recently in the past few years with Ward and Tart back there. So it's easy to kind of get seduced by the good plays that Hufanga makes. But I think the 49ers also see a lot of plays in coverage where he could have been better. And so this probably is going to be Hufanga's last year with the Niners.
You mentioned the Armstead cut in the savings. Do they use some of that to bring in, just in case, a Justin Simmons who's out there?
I would absolutely love that. I think the 49ers know that they have a need at safety. Tashaun Gibson was there last year and played well for them, but he's still debating if he wants to play. Plus, he's not under contract. So I think there's definitely a need. John Lynch has talked about wanting to bring in another safety. And if you're going to make that move and you have the money, why not bring in Justin Simmons? I think it absolutely makes sense. Give me that spinning John Lynch gif. I'm here for it.
Let's do some just temperature checks here, just softballs for stats. Where are you with, let's start with Brock Purdy. Where are you with Brock Purdy these days?
I love that the 49ers cannot pay Brock Purdy any more money right now because I really want to see another year. Show me again, Brock. Okay. Great year last year. Absolutely. Let me see you do it again. I'd love to give him a couple more games in the rain to see if he can sort of get over that because that is definitely a thing that with him we've seen so far. So let's just let the year play out and we'll see where we are at the end of the year and then we can make decisions financially. But I absolutely love it. They can't do anything with him right now because I think if they could, they would extend him right now. Wow. So you're looking at the schedule, and then week by week, you're just checking the weather. You're Doppler guy for 2024. I have never seen a quarterback drop back to pass, wipe his throwing hand off during the play, and then continue to make a throw down the field. It's a thing with him. It is definitely a thing. I wish it wasn't, but it's clear it is. Is it a hand size thing? I think, I don't know. It seems really weird. I know Kyle Shanahan doesn't change his practice for rain games. Like, he doesn't dunk the footballs in water or do anything like that. I wonder why not. Like, why not give it a shot? Like, I was just talking to Chris Harris Jr. yesterday. When I asked him about Peyton Manning, the first thing he talked about was how prepared he was. And he would wet the balls. And it was the first thing he said when asked about Peyton Manning was bad weather. He'd prepare for anything. You hear about it with Tom Brady and all of it. Like, I wonder why the stubbornness of not just trying that out. I don't know this for a fact, but if I had to guess, I would say, because I think Kyle likes his practices to run smoothly. He wants to get through what he has to get to and work on what he has to work on. And if you're dunking the footballs in water and it's affecting the practice and the smoothness of practice and all of that, I don't think he likes that. Now, it doesn't stop Brock from dunking 50 footballs in a bucket of water after practice, but somebody's got to work on it because it's been bad. Yeah, but I mean, down the stretch after that, was it Cleveland, right? There was the Cleveland game, and then it became. I was looking. I don't look at the weather ever, literally ever, on any given day ever. It's part of the only thing I like about living in California right now. But I don't know. I feel like it is a thing, and any like exposed perceived weakness is going to be a benefit to whatever team that they're facing. So there's definitely that. But I like that you called him great. You said he had a great year. So I think that's a good temperature check. Great year. You want to see another year. Hamilton's texting me, is that enough to not want to pay him, though? $50 million a year, which is probably, he's going to be in that range. That's a lot of money. And I have always said, quarterback purgatory is a much better place to be in than quarterback jail, right? If you're in quarterback jail, you're stuck with this person that you know is not good enough. That's a terrible place to be. At least with quarterback purgatory, you have the flexibility to make moves. Now, technically, if the Niners want to, they could let Brock play out this year, and they could franchise him up to 2 times in a row if they wanted to. I don't think they do, but if you're going to give the guy that kind of money, you better be stone cold sure that this is your guy and that this could be your guy, even if the roster around him gets a little bit weaker.
It's well said. Kyle Shanahan, we mentioned him. I didn't know how smoothly he runs his practices, all of that. So you have to sort of fill me in on where you are with him. When I think about, everybody I talk to about the Niners, it always comes up of, is he what got them there, but is he what's holding them back from winning the thing? Like, is the decision making, the defer, all of that, he's the reason they're there, and is he the reason that they're not for the past 5 years? Where are you with him?
That's exactly right. Kyle is the reason for all of the good things with the 49ers right now, and he's also the biggest reason they don't have 2 Super Bowl championships. And I think that's really hard for 49er fans to grapple with, because 2 things can be true at the same time. And I think both of those are, but it's hard for people to admit that and understand that. But it is the facts. And I know some people are really frustrated with Kyle Shanahan, and I get that. I'm there with you, right? I want at least the 1 damn Super Bowl in all these tries, but he is an awesome head coach. He is the reason the roster is as good as it is. He has final say over all roster decisions. I know we're frustrated, and I am there with you. But probably other than Andy Reid, there's nobody else I would rather have coaching the 49ers than Kyle Shanahan.
It's well said, and now he's in a division that's going to get a little, it's gotten a little tougher, of course, all the way around. The YouTube chat saying, what about the Rams? Why is everyone forgetting about the Rams? And it's I'm not forgetting about the Rams. I think they're going to be really good this year.
Yeah, the Rams are a strong team. Matthew Stafford is still really good. Sean McVay is an incredible offensive head coach. Losing Aaron Donald is obviously a big blow. If they had Aaron Donald, I would really consider them a threat to win the NFC West. Losing him hurts, and you're not going to be able to replace that in just 1 season. But the Rams are a good team. They're just not on the 49ers level.
I'm looking at FanDuel Sportsbook right now, and the Niners are the Super Bowl favorite. Would you take that?
Yeah. At this point,
plus 550.
This is going to sound very arrogant, but they've been a Super Bowl favorite for a while, or right up there, 1 or 2 for many years, right? This is not new territory for the 49ers. I don't care if they're the favorite. I don't care if they're the 2nd team, the 8th team, the 15th team. Just win the damn thing. Enough of all this other.
What's it going to take? Because now you got a Super Bowl hangover. You got to get off the mat. There's that. You brought back all the same people. Everyone's healthy. They're hopefully getting it done. What's it going to take? What is it going to take?
Well, not playing Patrick Mahomes in the damn game would be a good start. First of all, I would sign up for that, please.
They got to go all in this year, okay? Before Brock gets paid, Ayuk's got to be. You're saying they're favorites every year. I'm going to tell you, going into 2025, I don't think that's going to be true if they don't win it this year. This is the year. The year.
I don't know how you can make them the favorite over the Chiefs. I mean, how many times did the Chiefs have to beat the 49ers for us to realize that this is a thing? But they have to get it done. I agree with you. It becomes much more difficult if your quarterback is making a lot more money. Not impossible. We've seen guys making a lot of money win Super Bowls, but certainly now is when it's going to be easiest in this sort of team building cycle.
You're the best. Stats, check out all of his work, of course, and thank you for saying that they should not be the favorites. There you go, guys. Stats saying the Chiefs should be the favorites to win the Super Bowl. Check out all his work with the Niners and that whole NFL. He doesn't just talk Niners, but it's Gold Standard podcast covering all NFL all the time. Go to his Twitter. It is gold at Stats on Fire. We will talk to him soon, and we will be right back. I mean, Hamilton, why are they the favorites? I don't understand. They shouldn't be the favorites. I was surprised to see that.
I think a lot of it has to do with the state of the AFC right now, because the Chiefs are going to have a tougher road. I know they're the Chiefs and they've gone through everything, but I think it's the perception of both conferences right now. The Niners have a clearer path to get to the Super Bowl, whereas the Chiefs, Burrow's healthy, the Ravens in the mix. It's still it all feels like heavy lifting.
It feels like heavy, but I think then you give it to them by default. Just I don't know, give it to them until it's not. I don't know. Who would you pick right now to win the Super Bowl, the Chiefs or the Niners? Who should be the favorite to win it again? Come on.
I mean, it should be the Chiefs. Yeah.
What are we doing? Maybe they're not Harrison Butker fans.
But I think that's the argument. I think that's the only argument
regulators.
That there is, just those conferences.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that sounds great. Okay.
Thanks, Archer.
I mean, I think Caleb Williams, I know we're going to talk about Caleb Williams in a second, likely to be overdrafted. in August?
Probably, especially if you're in a league with Bears fans. Yeah.
No, I just think number one. I just think he'll be. I think he will not overdrafted, but he will not be of value.
Yeah.
Come August.
Yeah.
So when we
now he's kind of hanging back.
When we say what we are saying, everyone, it's June 3rd. What, 4th, 5th?
Yeah.
It's June whatever it is.
4th. Yeah.
And I just think that's a thing. Like, I think he'll end up. There's no world where the other two quarterbacks gain steam. This one is gonna.
Yeah.
This dude goes
to
he goes to Crow's Nest in Chicago, and it's like I don't even know. Like it's all of a sudden it's Pearl Jam playing at the Riviera in 1997. Like why are we? Everyone's going crazy. So I don't think he'll be able to do much to hurt his he got benched or whatever. He had bad OTAs. Like that's not gonna in training camp hurt him. I think it's anything he does well is gonna. I think people are gonna. He's not going to be a value. I don't want to say overdraft.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I love that we're talking fantasy football right now. It's so exciting. Let's go. Amazing. Okay. Okay, cool. You, me, and top 3 today, giving you 3 quarterbacks that will be on my fantasy teams. Likely. This is, of course, as of June. I'll say it again. I like value when it comes to the quarterback position. I never draft the Mahomes. I never draft the Josh Allen. I like to wait it out and get value. And this year, I got my eyes on Detroit. They extend their quarterback, Jared Goff. If you look at it right now, again, in June, 14th by the experts at Fantasy Pros. He finished 7th in fantasy points last season. Why would we think he's going to regress? Why would he? He's going to fall past these quarterback-hungry managers, and I'm snagging him. Another option I love is the Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Always unheralded, always slept on, which makes him a great value. He's ranked 12th heading into the 2024 season. Tyreek Hill's big playability. They bring in Odell Beckham to the wide receiver room. I think Tua is a steal, leading the league in passing last year. Him and Jared are at the top, but they're falling out of the top 10. What are we doing here? I think he hits another level at healthy this season. And lastly, he's going to be overdrafted by August, I bet. Maybe he won't be a value then, but right now, Bears rookie Caleb Williams, 13th as far as rankings are concerned. So it's not always going to be pretty. There'll be some ups and downs, but he's got the weaponry. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome, Kmet. So he also runs a little icing on the cake, which we always love in fantasy. I will say he will finish in the top 11 this season, but he'll probably go in the top 11 when all is said and done when you're doing your Labor Day draft. There you have it. I forget what it's called. You, me, in top 3, and Dupree. Owen Wilson. Okay, great. I love a heart out like that. It's so fun.